Hey guys, and welcome back to Kings Island History. Today we're talking about the 1990s. In the year 1990, Flight Commander would open at Kings Island. This was built by Intamin, and this is a so basically what this is you're on attached to a little articulating arm. You have a joystick in there where you control the rotation of the seats. So basically you can have it flip sideways, upside down, or in any direction you really want. Flight Commander looks like a decent ride, but probably wasn't that great, and I'm sure that it wouldn't be that great of a flat ride if it was still here today. But it still looks okay, I guess. Next, in 1991, Adventure Express was opened. Adventure Express is a mine train roller coaster built by Aerodynamics. This was late, as most parks opened with a mine train ride in the early 60s, 70s, and 50s. However, Kings Island did not get theirs to the 1990s. This is still a decent ride and holds up today. It is a little rough, a little janky, but that's what you would expect from a mine ride built by Aerodynamics. However, understanding that Kings Island got this late, this is probably one of the best mine rides in the whole world. And we can't talk about 1991 without talking about June 10th, 1991, June 9th, 1991. This is referred to as Black Sunday. Black Sunday is the worst day in Kings Island history, as 3 people died on this day. 3 men fell into the pond over in the area. 2 of them died, and the one who fell in first, the guy they were trying to save, ended up living. And then later a woman fell from the Flight Commander, which would close for the rest of the season. Next, in 1992, Kings Island would add the Phantom Theater. Phantom Theater is a dark ride attraction that Kings Island did do a show for this year, and it's pretty enjoyable. They basically brought Phantom Theater back for a short amount of time, and it was pretty good. Phantom Theater looks like a decent dark ride for the time. It isn't really anything like newer dark rides, but it still looks like a decent attraction. And I really hope they would bring this back at some point as a new style of attraction. A better dark ride, basically. Also in this year, they would open Scooby Zoom. This is a junior coaster, and it's now known as the Great Pumpkin Coaster. There's not much to talk about with this coaster, and I've never ridden it, so... But yeah, it opened in 1992 as well. It's pretty okay. Also in 92, Paramount would finalize a deal to buy Kings Island. So they would become the owner of all of Kings Entertainment's park. And this is a big part of Kings Island history, as Paramount would do some dumb stuff, some really dumb stuff, and some even dumber stuff. We'll get to that later. Then in 1993, Paramount would open Top Gun. Top Gun was themed to, obviously, the movie series Top Gun. Top Gun is now known as the Bat, but used to be known as Flight Commander as well. Top Gun is a very enjoyable air-suspended roller coaster. It has good speed, and it's a decently enjoyable attraction. And it's gonna celebrate its 30th anniversary this year. By no longer Top Gun, it still has the stars from Top Gun to this day. Now, in 1993, the park was officially renamed Paramount's Kings Island. This is Paramount's first year as full operators of the park. Next, in 1994, they would open Days of Thunder. This is a 4D theater attraction. And this looks very enjoyable. It looks like an average 4D theater, something that you would see at many other parks, and something that Kings Island could really need today. This looks like an enjoyable ride, and it looks like a really fun attraction, just not as up to date as other 4D attractions that we see today. However, it seems okay. And then in 1995, Flight Commander would close for good. It would open for a few years after the tragic incident with modifications, but then would close a few years later in 1995. This would end up being relocated. Also in 1995, they would open the Splat Zone. This was in their Nickelodeon area, and was obviously themed to slime. This looks like an interesting concept, but I don't think it probably would have been that great. It would have been interesting for the time, but it doesn't seem like it would be that great of an attraction, mainly for kids. Then in 1996, Paramount would build a massive thrill ride. They would build the Outer Limits Flight of Fear. The Outer Limits is a Premier Rides LIM launch coaster. This is a spaghetti bowl coaster, and it's very enjoyable. It has a few inversions, decent height, decent speed, and a decent launch. And then in 1997 they would open their wave pool. This is an okay attraction. It's just an average wave pool in America. It has some decent waves, and it's probably the best wave pool in the area. Then, also in 1998, they would open Scooby's Ghoster Coaster. This is a little kid's family suspended roller coaster that you would most likely be riding with a small child. Also, they would change Days of Thunder to James Bond 007. This is another 4D theater ride. Then in 1999, they would open Invertigo. Invertigo is a Vekoma inverted boomerang. It is probably one of the most intense rides at Kings Island, but no longer called Face Off. It is now Invertigo. This is a decent ride. It is one of the rougher rides at Kings Island, but probably definitely the most intense. It has 3 inversions that you experience forwards and backwards, and because the riders are facing themselves, they've themed it to the movie franchise Face Off. Actually, a pretty cool idea of theming, in Paramount's opinion. It's okay. Also in 1999, as part of the expansion of the Paramount Action Zone, they would open Drop Tower.
Its father spread pandemonium throughout the Midwest. Its arrival will thrill a nation. Its legacy is destined to change the world. Presenting Son of the Beast, the world's tallest,